know what really makes us mad? Is wasting money on CDs with only one or two good songs.
Yeah. Tell them about punk.
What's up, posers? Welcome to Funk Lotto Pod. I'm your co-host, Justin Hensley.
And I am your other co-host, Dylan Hensley.
And joining us today is singer-songwriter Elise Okusami, who performs under the name Oceanator. Elise, how are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're pretty good. As regular attenders of Fest, I was familiar with the name Oceanator, but due to the overwhelming amount of bands, I've never seen you perform at Fest. Mm-hmm. And then a couple weeks ago, I saw your cover of Dead Kennedy's Police Truck making the rounds, and I was like, well, let's check this out. And I gave it a listen. I was like, oh yeah, I have to immediately reach out to get her on the show. So
heck yeah. Yeah, I'm really proud of that cover. I think it came out pretty good. I did it all. I played all the things on it, so it was fun for me.
Yeah, and that was one thing I wanted to ask you. I guess you're technically a solo project.
Mm-hmm.
But, you play all the instruments mostly, and you have, some people help out on records?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the record and the songs. The last two things, like the new record that's coming out and the EP before that, we did a bunch of the songs, live together, no metronome, just kind of performing them. So obviously I couldn't play everything on those. So there's a majority of things on those two that I didn't play everything on, just because I wanted to have more of that live feel. But on both of them, there is songs that I played all the stuff, and my brother plays on some stuff too, just kind of depending on the song and the feel of it.
Yeah, and so after I reached out to you and we set a date, you went and announced that you were starting a record label and releasing a brand new album.
Well, that was after we talked.
Yeah, it was right after we, and I was like, well, shit. I have great timing, apparently.
Yeah.
I wanted to say the new song, "A Crack in the World," that you put up, it's incredible.
Oh, thank you.
After listening to it, I told you this before we started recording, I knew I had to go and get the pre-order immediately. So The record is called "Things I Never Said." I love the artwork and all the fun summer merch you've got going into it.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I just wanted it to have fun bundle stuff attached and have a good theme going and stuff.
Yeah, and it's coming out on your new label, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, my label. So I was going to start this label anyway. It's called Plastic Miracles, and I've been planning to start it for over a year, maybe a little longer. But I wasn't planning to put my music out on it because I was already on a label at the time. But now I'm not, due to a whole bunch of stuff that you can find out on the internet if you want to. And so yeah, we were shopping it around to some other labels, and it was right before South by, so everyone was busy. And then the pandemic, so everyone was still busy with dealing with all that stuff and figuring everything out. So I just kind of figured I didn't want to sit on it any longer, so I'll just self-release for now, or I guess put it out on my label, see what happens. But it's pretty cool. It's kind of fun to have all the control over it and stuff. So
yeah, I was gonna ask what went into the decision to start your own label. I kind of assumed that the previous label's public falling out with some well-known bands is part of the inspiration. But was there anything else that was really inspiring you?
I had wanted to start it before all of that anyway, because I wanted a project to do besides I don't know. I'm always looking. I need to stay busy, or I crumble. So I figured it would be cool to have where I could just put out friends or friends of friends, or just stuff that I really like. I only want to put out stuff that I'm really into, because it's going to be mostly just a labor of love, the label. It's not going to be really for making profit or anything. So that was the inspiration for it, was just to get some more music out. And it's always helpful for people who are trying to release music if more people are sharing about it anyway, so I just kind of figured having a little teensy tiny platform would help people that are trying to start out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I know a couple people who run record labels, and it's all been like these like just DIY.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like own this music, but I'm going to help you put out something in a physical format, and be the primary like source to sell it online. But you can sell the rest of them at your shows, and
yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Yeah, I don't own anything. It's still all theirs. I'll do all the mail order and stuff from here because I'm doing it anyway for my stuff. And once shows can happen again, like then they can sell them at shows too. But for now, it's pretty much all coming off the Bandcamp for stuff. And kind of expanded accidentally into we already put out a photo zine too of this really great photographer, Alex Joseph. That's just, we're probably going to do a series of them depending how it goes, but this one's it's photos of musicians performing or rehearsing, or, it's focused on music since it's a label. He wanted to stick with the theme, but it's pretty great. His photos are awesome. So I don't know. Awesome. Yeah. Just going to do whatever makes sense and feels right. Not going to rein it into specifically anything, I think.
I mean, that's the best labels anyway, are the ones that just do whatever they want instead of being like, well, let's just chase the trends of whatever's popular right now.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do that. I just want to do, like I said, it's not trying to make money. It's trying to get people's music out there. So I just want to do whatever like I feel excited about so that I can properly like put the effort into it that it deserves.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about your music a little bit. I wanted to say that when I listened to your, would you consider the one record a full length, or you think they're just more 2 EPs?
They're 2 EPs. The only reason on Spotify that it's in the album section is because they wouldn't let me, because their definition of EP is 4 to 6 songs. But I spent a really long time on the internet before I released that, like looking up all the definitions of EPs, and it is technically an EP. So only on Spotify is it not, but it's an EP to me. And yeah. Well, it's called EP on Bandcamp. So
yeah, we've doing this show. We used to cover EPs as well, and that was the one thing that we ran into a lot, was like what people defining what an EP is like so all over the place.
Exactly. Yeah, I kind of went with like the time of limit of it, and I was gonna cut a song to fit in with Spotify's definition, but I didn't want to because I thought that they all like fit well together. And
yeah,
I definitely don't think it's an LP. It doesn't feel like one. I don't consider it one. I didn't release it as one. So
yeah, did it have a physical release?
Yeah, I did 100 cassettes. I actually just repressed. Well, it's in ordering, but repressed that one and the Lowe's EP, so you can get those in physical form again too if anyone wants that. Just a limited run of those.
There's only so much you can do, and it's hard to have big dreams, but it's hard to let those dreams die out too. Remember when you were a kid, and you thought by now you figure out most everything, but it's all as confusing as ever. Every day had something new, and some of those things are bad enough they almost crush you. It's not what you wanted, but it'll do. It's not what you wanted, but it's gonna have to do.
I guess one thing about your music itself, when I listened to the 2 records this week, I could hear a lot of different things, and I'd say your music is that swirling of punk and emo and indie that has kind of fallen under this like nebulous umbrella of DIY, I guess, in the recent years.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit beforehand. You were talking about how punk is not just one thing anymore. And
Yeah.
I think your music definitely fits under the greater punk umbrella.
Great.
And I was wondering what you thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I grew up on a lot of punk stuff, but like mostly late 80s, early 90s punk, I guess is what I was into. So that's definitely an influence in there. But when as I've gotten older and gone back and listened to previous punk, even like stuff like The Clash and stuff, it's very different and more when I was a kid of what I thought as like when I was real little and first getting to punk, I would probably would have been like, this isn't punk, this is rock music. But like, but no, like I think punk's a pretty broad label, and I think a lot of it has to do with attitude and values too, and like not just the music itself. So yeah, I don't know. I think my stuff fits in the punk umbrella with not necessarily being like straight up punk, but I think it's in there. It's got the tinge of punk on it.
I mean, when you think about the bands today who like are like, no, we're just a straight up punk band, and you like they listen to it's not great most of the time.
I don't know if I have listened to any straight people who just say straight up punk. I guess I'm not a big genre fan in general. I think it's really hard to classify music. So I guess I don't think about when I'm listening to new stuff like what genre it is. I just kind of think about if it moves me or not.
Yeah, I have a habit of calling everything punk when it's probably like not even.
Totally. Yeah. I think that goes into like the feeling of it too. Like you're like, oh, this is punk, and then if you really sit down and think about like the way it's defined, like maybe it's not. But I think if the person making it fits into the punk world, then they're making punk music.
Yeah, it's an ethos.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just a sound.
Yeah,
especially
totally.
in 2020.
Yeah, for sure.
It seems like that probably. Before we move into like the rest of the show, tell people where you want them to go to get the record, because I highly suggest at very least checking out the new song, and then if you like that, going ahead and just buying the record. But where should we go to do that?
Yeah, I guess the easiest place to do it is on the Bandcamp, which is oceanator.bandcamp.com, and that's got everything. It's got the vinyl for the new record and the cassettes that I mentioned for the old EPs, and then for the new record, and some fun bundles, pogs and temporary tattoos and shirts and tank tops. But if you don't see the vinyl color you want on there, because they've been selling fairly well, you can head over to undertowstore.com, and then they've got some more vinyl and cassettes over there as well.
Are they just a web store?
Undertow Music is like they do living room shows, and it's also like the management group. So then they have the store where they have the people they manage on there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll include links for that in the show notes too. So, all right,
Cool.
We will move into the rest of the show. The premise of this show is that we give our guests a year, and they pick an album for us to listen to and talk about. But before we get into the one that you chose, let's talk about a couple other records that came out. So we gave you the year 1983. And Dylan, why don't you start us off talking about stuff that came out in 83?
Well, it is the year of Kill 'Em All by Metallica. And also Violent Femmes by the Violent Femmes.
Wait, I have a question.
It's a wild year.
Which Metallica album is that?
That's the Hammer and the Blood Pool.
Is this when was the one? Which is the one that they like destroyed the snare sound on or something? And then wasn't there one where the bass is so quiet because they got a new bassist, but they didn't want him to be front and center, so they made it like really quiet. Is it one of those two?
No, this is the first Metallica record.
Okay.
yeah,
I don't know Metallica that well, obviously.
What's on there? Is there? I guess.
Seek and Destroy.
Yeah, it's the big one.
Okay.
It's I wanted to throw that one in there just because it was completely unrelated. And I felt like it would be a huge contrast with the rest of the records that we're talking about. But
Violent Femmes, who are an acoustic rock band. This is way before folk punk.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a predecessor to folk punk, right? I mean,
yeah,
it could fit in there now.
Folk punk band would say that they're influenced to some extent by Violent Femmes.
Right. Yeah, I only knew that one, the big one, growing up. But then I ended up seeing them in concert, and I was like, oh, this is great. I don't know why I haven't gone back and listened to the rest of the record.
Yeah, I listened to that record last week, too, and I was like, God, this whole thing is really good.
Yeah, they're rad. I mean, I Blister in the Sun, I love anyway, even though it's like been played to death.
Do you remember, did you ever watch the show Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
No, I didn't, but I watched Clarissa Explains It All.
Okay.
With Melissa Joan Hart, yeah.
There's an episode of Sabrina where she's wanting to go see the Violent Femmes in concert.
Really?
And this is like 98.
Yeah.
It's just funny to see like a group of high schoolers who are super excited to see the Violent Femmes, like an 80s college rock band.
Right. Well, that's why when I saw this list too, I never realized that this record was so old, because I remember in the 90s that like Blister in the Sun was on the radio constantly when I was listening to the radio in the 90s. Yeah, it was on all the time. And I just assumed back then, when there was like no internet or anything to look stuff up, so I just assumed it was a new-ish record. I just assumed it was from the 90s. So like, yeah, that makes sense to me that high schoolers in the late 90s would want to go see the Violent Femmes, because it was still everywhere,
Yeah,
it's funny because
it would be entirely because of that song too.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think anyone, unless you were just into them, but like, what are their other songs? Gone Daddy Gone.
Yeah.
Which most people don't really know that one, except that it was covered more recently.
Wait, which one is that? I don't know if I know it by name.
CeeLo covered it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a weird...
He's still around?
yeah, probably. I don't know. Is he on any of those dumb reality shows still?
I haven't watched any of those. I'm not a reality show person, so I
think he was on like The Voice or something like that. But...
Oh yeah, he is that. That's the one where they with Adam Levine, where they like smash that button, they can't see him, right?
Yeah.
I saw like an episode or two of that one.
Yeah, CeeLo sucks. But some other records that came out in '83. New Order put out Power, Corruption, and Lies, which I believe is what people say is like the New Order record to listen to. I listened to it as well this week. I had a lot of time this week. So I listened to a lot of these records. And yeah, I totally get why people love this record. I don't know if this is a popular opinion. It's probably not. But I think I'd rather listen to New Order than Joy Division. Almost all the time. I don't know. I think it depends on the album.
Yeah.
I guess I get them. I think I still get them confused. Just in a way where, so I used to get Van Halen and Led Zeppelin confused when I was a kid, even though I knew, like, hearing them, I was like, oh, they don't sound the same at all. But if you were talking about them, for some reason I would get them confused. I think I just heard their names at the same time and just mixed them together.
I did the same thing as a kid too, because my parents had like the cassettes and records, and I did the same thing where I was like, which is which?
Yeah, but then you hear it and you're like, oh, I know which. This is completely different. They don't sound the same at all.
Right.
But I think I do that with Joy Division and New Order now. Still.
Let's see. '83 also put out Wipers put out Over the Edge. We're constantly talking about which Wipers record's the best. I tend to like this one the most, but Dylan, I think you like Is This Real more?
No, Over the Edge is my favorite. Oh, but okay. It is. I mean, it's close. Is This Real is a perfect record too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also Bad Brains.
Yeah. It's Rock for Light.
Yeah. I think that's the only full Bad Brains album I had. I had that one on CD.
Did you have the weird mixed version where it sounds like they're faster than normal?
Oh, I don't know. I only listened to that one. I didn't know there were two versions.
I think it is like the CD master is slightly faster than the LP or the cassette master.
Oh.
So like, and I think the Spotify version is the CD master. I remember reading there was like a big like mess up. So like people who heard this version of the record, like it just sounds like way faster than the rest of the like the way it's supposed to sound.
Oh, I had the CD, so I don't know.
You may have the faster one then.
Because I got it in the 90s sometime.
Yeah.
So maybe they had fixed it by then. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. But that's the only one I've heard, so.
Yeah. It's so funny. So their first album, the self-titled, and Rock for Light have a lot of the same songs on it. Actually, I'd say most of the songs are the same.
Yeah, right?
And I've never really known why they did that.
I don't know. I never looked into it. It was a weird thing where, like, you know how, like, when you're the black kid into punk rock, so everyone wants to talk to you about Bad Brains? So I had this, like, weird, like, block where I was like, I can't know too much about Bad Brains because then they'll think that they're right in only talking to me about Bad Brains, you know? So I liked them, but I didn't make it a point not to like look up more, but I just like didn't because I was like annoyed stupidly. I mean, there's that Hard Times article about it too. I don't know if you saw that one. I can't remember the headline.
It's like, what does it say? I know what you're talking about. It's like, it's too good to not name, actually.
I know. It's like it's like no one's asked him about.
I got it. I pulled it up. Black Man Attends Punk Show without anyone mentioning Bad Brains.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, I still haven't had that happen.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you like Bad Brains? Do you like death too?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. It's like, yeah, but like, you know, not because of this. But I just looked at my arm, by the way.
Yes, it's audio medium.
Yeah. But but it is a good record. Yeah, I don't know why they did that.
Yeah,
I think it has something to do with just the way the band started and then moved to New York and then moved back to DC, and I guess maybe they felt like because the first record is, because there's also the demo tape with like all of those songs too.
Right.
So I think maybe they just thought of the first album as a demo.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Maybe they were just like, no, we can do them better.
Yeah, and I also didn't look up. I don't know if they were put out on like different labels or something. Maybe that had something to do with it.
I'm looking it up right here, and it looks like, so the first one was like the ROIR cassette, like that's what it's called, and it didn't have a vinyl pressing until like the late 80s, like 89. So this one was put out on vinyl in 83 on like PVC records. It looks like. I'm not sure what label that is, but so yeah, it's probably like a different label, different recording session.
Yeah.
One was a tape. This is on vinyl. I was like, yeah, that's probably why they did it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Rick
That's fine. I get that.
Produced Rock for Light.
Did he?
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say I don't know who that is. I don't know my producers.
Oh,
as well.
yeah. He was in the Cars.
Okay.
He was a solo musician too. He produced tons of records.
Yeah.
We talked about him a little bit on our last week episode because he was going to record a Hanson record that never happened.
How many records does Hanson have? I know the one. I have it too. It's in my apartment somewhere.
The first one, like the big one, Middle of Nowhere.
Yeah. I have that one.
I had that one as a kid too.
I bought it at the Best Buy.
They have. Wow, that's not even the first one. They had two records before Middle of Nowhere.
What?
One was called Boomerang and the other one was called Mbop. What?
Oh, and Mbop must have been on that one, and then they hit major label success and re-recorded it, right?
Right, I'm guessing because the
like
first
Welcome
one...
to Paradise for Green Day.
Yeah, it's got to be what it is. Just like self-released CDs before.
Yeah.
They have like more than you'd think. There's that Christmas record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more records. Another Christmas
Okay.
record.
Well, not to go on too much of a tangent, but I saw Taylor, I think, that's the singer, I think. And he was doing that band that was like that super group with someone from Cheap Trick. Do you remember this?
What was it
Vaguely.
called?
I don't remember what it was called, but
I don't remember what it was called either, but I did see it at the Black Cat in DC.
Is it Tinted Windows?
I have no idea. It could be.
Did it have James Eha from the Smashing Pumpkins in it too?
Yeah.
And Adam Schlesinger, Bun
Wait,
E.
did it?
Carlos.
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I
Buddy.
saw it. I think that they were headlining, and I can't even remember who was opening, but I went for the opener. Me and my brother, I think, went. Possibly AC Newman. Would that make sense? Or would AC Newman have been headlining, and that's a different show, and I'm forgetting. I'm mixing two shows together.
I don't know if Cheap Trick and Taylor Hanson are opening for anybody.
Yeah, no, they were definitely headlining. It was fun. All I remember about it was it was fun. I don't remember any songs. Yeah.
In 1983, the Misfits put out their worst record of the original era. Earth 80, Wolf's Blood.
Let's try
Yeah.
hardcore.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't like that record. Misfits are.
I don't know it very well. Yeah, I think I maybe heard a song. It's like meh.
Yeah, it's just them doing hardcore, and it's not very good.
Yeah.
I like the regular old classic Misfits, and then I like some of the new stuff. Like I don't know which record it's on. That song "Descending Angel" it's like really big and heavy.
I don't know what
Oh.
record that one's on. It could be a Michael Graves one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I got it in like the Napster era, and I never
Just
followed
like
up.
a song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because all the other ones I have are like like Where Eagles Dare and stuff. All the class.
Yeah. Old Misfits, they didn't age that well.
No,
Yeah.
but their logo's everywhere.
Yeah, at every gas station and Hot Topic and
Yep.
Spencer's and
Spencer's. Does Spencer still exist? I thought they closed down too.
yeah, they still exist. At least they do in my little town of Hickory, North Carolina.
Where's that?
I'd say it's between Asheville and Charlotte.
Okay.
It's kind of
I
like the
can see
middle,
it.
not like on a straight line, but like you drive to Hickory to get to Asheville from Charlotte. So
Okay. I like Charlotte, and I like Asheville.
yeah, Asheville's cool.
I've only
Charlotte,
been to Asheville once.
Charlotte's a weird city.
Yeah, it's weird, but I've had some good shows there, and I have some good friends that live there, so that's why I like it, I guess.
Do you know Josh and Sarah from All Right?
That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
them on the show too.
They're so great. They're so
Yeah.
lovely. And we also got the best oil change ever in Charlotte. It's like so good that we talked about it for the rest of tour, and it was like a full US tour, and that was in the first week. And we just kept talking about how good it was. The guy, he didn't try to sell us anything, and he specifically told us, he was like, this is what they took the air filter out, and they were like, look how good it looks. Don't let anyone tell you it needs to be changed, even though it's time, technically, based on your miles. It's perfect. And we're like, okay. It was awesome. Anyways, I'm obviously still excited about it.
He's a big consumer advocate.
Yeah, I mean, that never happens when you get your oil changed. They're always trying to do more stuff,
Yeah.
And he was like, this is how long your oil's going to last. Someone might tell you that you should change it. No, get the full use out of it. You paid for it. We were like, all right, man, thank you.
That's awesome. I wish more mechanics were like that.
I know. That's why it was so exciting. My bassist wrote a review in the car the second we left. Anyway, 1983. So sorry. I keep derailing.
Yeah. We don't want to talk about everything, but
I'm just excited because it's pandemic, so I don't see or talk to that many people very often. So every time I get to talk to someone, I just am excited about it.
I think that's a huge reason why a lot of our recent episodes since we came back, we went on hold for the beginning of the pandemic because
Yeah.
it just didn't feel right. But when we came back, everyone that we've talked to, I feel like, has probably in the same boat. They have a lot of pent up energy and want to talk. So
Yeah.
our episodes have gotten longer and more
That's-
tangents. And
It's good. I think it's good because I also, when I listen to podcasts now, keep being like, why is this episode so short? I have so much time to fill today. So it goes both ways, for me at least.
I've been trying to toy with like a tagline for the show, and I keep thinking landing around something along the lines of the podcast that replicates the between band discussion outside of the venue. Like, I don't know how to word it, but I feel like that's what we do. It's just like those kind of conversations where you're like, oh, I don't really care about this opener. I've seen him a bunch of times. Let's go outside for a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like this is also very much like the kind of conversation you have like in the van on the way to the next gig, where you're like, because you don't have like, you spend so much time talking, so you're just like, you put on a record and you're like, oh, let's talk about this record, and then you just go off in a tangent about like whatever comes up. I think it feels a lot like one of those too, and those are fun.
Yeah, God, I feel like we could like keep going on some of these records, but I'll just like kind of do a quick little rapid fire on a few ones that I think are important.
Okay.
Echo and the Bunnymen put out Porcupine. That's one of the best reviewed records. We talked about the record after Porcupine a couple months ago. There's a good Billy Bragg record.
Billy Bragg.
So we did an episode with our friend Corey, who on a discount EP where they covered all Billy Bragg. And neither one of us had like super really gotten into Billy Bragg or Discount. So he made us a playlist that's called Prove the Hensleys Wrong. And it's all Discount and Billy Bragg songs. So like it was his way of getting us into both of them. Yeah. And it totally worked because this Billy Bragg record's excellent. Life's a Riot with Spy vs. Spy.
I mean, yeah, Billy Bragg also like is still at it, which is cool. And still very much like, I don't know if you read, he put out a book called The Three Somethings of Democracy. It's just a little short booklet, and it's great. It's like, it's all stuff that you like probably know already, but explained in a way that makes it easier to talk about with people who don't know it, who are just trying to get into it, and also like kind of talks about how we like got here where we are now, which is, I don't know, it's pretty cool to just, it's all stuff like, we lived through this and I know all these things, but seeing it like laid out this way, it was a good read. I don't know. I'm just going to plug that.
he still has good politics, right? Like he's
still on it.
He's never like done anything like super problematic, especially, with a guy in his, his 60s, probably close to 70s.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's been around a while, but he's just like a through and through, like punk socialist dude. And he's still fighting. I started following him on Twitter, and he's still fighting. So
that's awesome. It's proof. It's proof of like that whole like, well, things were just different back then is like kind of bullshit. It's like, there's people like Billy Bragg back in the 80s doing this kind of stuff. So
yeah, and I think saying things were different back then and totally excusing it is unacceptable. But I also think that there is something to be said. Then this is more for stuff that's even further back historically. There is something to be said about like, if you're talking about, I'm of course blanking on all my examples, but if you're talking about someone who like was really progressive in one area but not so much in the other area, like I don't think necessarily you should think that they are like, give them a pass, but I also think it's important to take into context that like people's minds and society change slowly, so you can't just completely write them out as like a bad person if they weren't 100% progressive on everything. Not saying we should celebrate them, but I also think that we should recognize that their contributions are important. Does that make sense?
No, it totally
explaining
makes sense.
This. Yeah.
It's almost as if we shouldn't celebrate just people in general, but more ideas.
Yeah, totally. Like, I don't know, like Lincoln, everyone's like, Lincoln was anti-black, and it's like, yeah, that sucks. But some of the things he did were good, so let's talk about those.
Right.
Like, I don't need to be like venerating Lincoln's not like my hero. You know what I mean? Like
who even has heroes? Like,
I don't know. I think people have heroes.
Well,
I think you just gotta take the good from everything. Yeah, you gotta take the good from the good things and put them together and keep pushing forwards. I think is the important part. Not like, yeah. But like I'm not saying like don't tear down statues of problematic people. I'm saying like don't build them up in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
I guess.
Maybe we shouldn't build any statues of anyone.
Yeah. I mean, like they should be. If you want to put something like that in a museum where you can go and actually learn about it, that's something. But like if you're walking by a statue, I'm one of the people that reads the plaques on statues, and people get annoyed with me. But I like to read them because I like to know why it's there. But most people aren't, so they're just gonna think like, look at the statue. This person must have been great, because they have a statue, and you're not teaching anybody anything with that.
And he's on a horse.
Well, there should be statues of horses everywhere because horses rule. I'm a big horse person. So, like, they want to take all the generals off and leave the horses. Like, I'm down. That's cool. But
yeah, it's funny when conservatives can't really wrap their head around the fact that you can be like, no, I like that this historical person did this, but I don't like that they did this. They think that because you like the one thing that you should love everything. So yeah. Even more recent examples, like people are like, oh, you're a liberal, you must love Obama. It's like, I don't love Obama either. I mean,
yeah, I don't love him. I think he was a good step.
Right.
And I think he did some good things, obviously, and he's definitely better than Trump, obviously.
Right.
But like, I don't think he's like the perfect president.
No.
Like, that's what we should go back to him, and everything he did was great, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, he's the drone and surveillance president. He's
right.
The kids in cages thing happened under his originally, so
yeah.
Anyway, that's a weird tangent.
Yeah. Basically, just keep thinking. We should all keep thinking and pushing forwards and trying to make the world as good and equal and safe and pleasant as possible.
Yeah. The last thing I want to point out is the Minutemen, What Makes a Man Start Fires. Second Minutemen full length, though it's like 10 minutes long or something like that. I don't know why they made it an LP, but
going back to that EPLP thing.
I guess it's actually 26 minutes. It's longer than I thought it was. That means each side is still only like 13 minutes long.
Right.
This is the one that I would point people to first if they wanted to know more about the Minutemen, just because it's short. It kind of gives you an example of what they sound like, and I love them. We've yet to talk about them, like devote a whole album to them, but I love that record too. And yeah, so unless there's anything else anyone wants to talk about we can get into our album.
I don't think anything.
I think it's worth mentioning this is the year of Out of Step by Minor Threat.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
And Metal Circus by Husker Du. It's also the year of Murmur by R.E.M. And Speaking in Tongues by Talking Heads. So kind of a broader picture of the punk and new wave and alternative radio of the time, which I think is a good segue into our album.
Yeah.
So this week we gave you the year 1983, and you picked X, More Fun in the New World. With this part of the show is just asking, why'd you pick this record?
I picked this record because, two reasons, I guess. One is X is a band that, like, I hadn't, it's another one of those ones I hadn't paid attention to albums of. I just, like, heard songs here and there, but, like, know that they influenced a ton of people that I had listened to growing up. And then also because I like it. I was like clicking through and seeing like which ones, and this is one of those records where it's like punk, but it's more of that like almost power poppy tinged punk, like kind of rock stuff. I think this is one of their records where they were going more for radio play. I think, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. I think overall it's just kind of a fun fun record that you can kind of like dance in your chair to.
Yeah. I'll run through some basics for people unfamiliar with the band. So X are from Los Angeles, California. They formed in 1977. The birth of punk, They play a version of punk that takes elements of like rockabilly and country and like kind of puts in a little bit of new wave in there, but not a ton. This was their fourth album and their last in the kind of what people consider like their classic run of records. It was released on Elektra Records, and the personnel on this record is Billy Zoom on guitar, DJ Bonebreak on drums, Exene Cervenka on vocals, and John Doe on guitar and vocals. DJ also played in the Germs and the Flesh Eaters, and Billy Zoom played in a rockabilly band called the Blasters. And didn't he work with some other country musicians? It's like, I'm blanking on who else he worked with.
I don't know.
I have it here, I think. I don't know where it is.
At some point, he worked with Gene Vincent, which I don't know when that was.
He worked with John Denver on Dreamland Express in '85. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. And the producer on this record is Ray Manzarek of The Doors. He was the organ player in The Doors, and he produced their first 4 records. Yeah, Dylan, talk about this record.
It's great. I love X, so I was pretty familiar with this record already, and I was excited to get to talk about this. This is, like you said, it is where they're starting to shift into a more radio-friendly sound. This is the record where they did the cover of Breathless, which they have a funny story about how they recorded the song for a movie. They got offered the slot because someone called and said, "Hey, we heard that you do a really good version of Breathless," and they were like, "Sure, yeah, we do." They didn't. They just had to go figure it out and make it really good, which I think they did.
That's funny. I don't like that one.
It's a Jerry Lee Lewis song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine.
It wasn't my favorite on the record.
Yeah.
I think they do a good job with it, but at the same time, to me, it's not a highlight of the record.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm saying when I was listening to the record and I was like, could have left this one off and I would have been fine.
I'm looking at this. Did they do that song on...
They did it on David Letterman, if that's what you're asking.
But did they put it on 2 records? No.
I don't know.
Okay, no. The 2001 re-release has of Under the Big Black Sun has...
They did a version for the movie called Breathless, starring Richard Gere, which is a remake of the French movie called Breathless. It's like a Godard French New Wave film. I had no idea they remade that movie.
What's the premise of that movie?
It's, at least the French version is, it's this criminal is kind of on the run, and then he hooks up with his girlfriend and then like hides out at her place, and she doesn't know he's kind of wanted. Okay. That's the premise of the French one. I don't know if the Richard Gere one does that same premise, but
does the song? I don't, since I didn't like it that much, I didn't pay that much attention to the words. Did they just include it because it's called Breathless, or does it have anything to do with it?
I think they just included it because it's called Breathless.
Okay.
Because I don't know when that Jerry Lee Lewis song came out versus when the French movie came out. I doubt Jerry Lee Lewis was watching French New Wave cinema.
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was in the 50s. I mean, his career really tanked in the 60s. But yeah, I mean, and that being said, I would agree it's definitely not the best track here. There are definitely much better songs.
Yeah, like the song The New World, which was featured in the 1986 Jonathan Demme movie, Something Wild.
Yeah, that's the big single, right?
Yeah, they did a video for it.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Yeah, it's a weird video. It's like they're in front of like a green screen, and then it like cuts to like footage of just what it's like. Just here's some footage of cars driving by, and here's some, But then there's like also a guy dressed up like the devil in it, because the song specifically mentions the devil.
Yeah.
It's a weird cheap video that was like, oh, we'll throw this on MTV at 1 a.m. because
Right.
what else are we going to show?
Yeah, that reminds me when I was a kid, my friend had this birthday party where I don't remember what the place was called, but you went and held instruments and filmed a music video in front of a green screen. And I was like 9 or 10 maybe, and we did I Love Rock and Roll. And yeah, it was just like that. It was like we were in front of a green screen and then they put random scenes of cities and cars driving and stuff in the background. So maybe that's what they did.
Well, you need to do that with your live streams now.
I know. I was trying to figure out the blue screen thing on OBS and see what kind of fun stuff I could do. But I focused on getting the sound good first.
Yeah.
But I think I got a good setup going now. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, New World is like it's a song specifically about like Ronald Reagan getting reelected, and it's kind of like this like sarcastic like, oh, he's gonna make things great for us, you know,
Right.
make things great again. Yeah,
He said that in
yeah,
his speech.
Yeah, his was "Let's make America great
Right.
again." So he just
Yeah.
stole it.
It's the
But
same
at one
thing.
point in this song, he just starts like naming cities like Flint, Michigan, Detroit, Mobile, Alabama. And it's talking about all these places that had really bad like economic like downturns like in the 80s under the Reagan administration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, I know there's got to be a reason for this, why they're naming all these cities, but I didn't know why. But that makes sense. Yeah, Reagan's. Ugh. I was getting it. My friend, for some reason, thought that Reagan was the best president we ever had in like 8th grade, and we used to get in these big arguments about it. It was really weird.
I love 8th graders who have like strong political opinions too.
Yeah, and I was mad because I was like, I don't even want to talk about this right now, but because we're like 8th grade, and I hadn't thought about it yet that much, other than having like a general view that he was bad. But I was like, now I gotta go research why Reagan sucks, because I know he's wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much responsible for why the Republican Party is the way it is today. So
Yeah.
mm.
We don't have to get into it too much. But
Right. It's funny. This
Yeah.
record has a lot of the band listing things.
I was going to say, I love that part of the song where they're naming the cities because it reminds me of like a Johnny Cash song from the 70s where he's just like naming things. I also really love the line in the song, all we need is money, just give us what you can spare, 20 or 30 pounds of potatoes or 20 or 30 beers.
Yeah, that was a good one.
A turkey like alms for the poor. I've always loved that verse.
Yeah.
I watched some footage of them playing this song and some other songs at Farm Aid in '85, which was the first Farm Aid, I think, which I thought was kind of crazy. I didn't realize they played that.
Yeah, I mean, was it
it's-
cool? Did they do a good job?
So they were playing on the stage was wet and everyone in the audience was wearing raincoats. So
Oh.
I think it had just rained.
Yeah.
So they were not super exciting because they'd probably slip and fall. But
Right. That makes
still,
sense.
good for them.
They're not a terribly like animated band too on stage. Like
Well,
Billy
Billy
Zoom-
Zoom is specifically not.
right. His like thing he's most notable for is like making direct eye contact with the audience and just smiling. And
I don't like that at all.
It doesn't come across creepy because I know that sounds awful.
Yeah.
We saw them a couple years ago at Chapel Hill, and like Dylan, you were just like, it's someone's pawpaw.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah, he's still doing it. It's just it's weird at first because you're like, why is he looking at me? And then it's
Right.
like, oh no, he's looking at everyone. He's just like enjoying himself, like looking at everybody, enjoying the music.
Yeah.
Okay.
He always said that he wanted to do that because you watch guitar players like make all these crazy faces while they're playing their guitar solos, and he wanted to just look completely normal while he's playing his guitar. So like when we saw him, he was like sitting on a stool for half the show.
Oh, wow.
I mean, understandably,
He's
he's got some, I believe, some back problems and has beat cancer twice.
Yeah,
so,
and holding a guitar gets heavy, especially if you've already got back problems.
yeah.
and he's older than the rest of the band too,
Oh, okay.
because he started playing in like the 60s, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really adds even more to it. He's just kind of like smiling, just standing there casually, sitting, playing guitar, and he's playing these great guitar solos. And
What did you think of the music? I know you said you weren't super knowledgeable about their stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this is. It's funny because I was like, oh, this is the kind of punk that I like. Like, I wish I had heard this earlier. I mean, I like other stuff too, but I like this less aggressive kind of punk a lot. I don't know how to. I'm so bad at talking about like genre stuff, but I just like that this is in the punk lexicon. Does that make sense? Like that this is like, because I remember when I started listening to punk, people were like, you have to listen to this, and punk is always fast and it's always loud and everyone's yelling, and I was like, well, I like this, that's cool, but it's cool when I finally got to listen to this older stuff and be like, oh yeah, okay, cool, it wasn't always like this. That's why this music sounds like that, and there's room for stuff that's just like kind of more, I don't want to say melodic, because the hard fast stuff is melodic too, but it's more it's more rock than punk. Does that make sense? It's like, if it's like the punk rock, this has like a little more rock in it, whereas the other punk rock has it's tilted on the punk scale.
Yeah. So like specifically, they're interesting because like they came up. So like they formed in '77. Dylan, do you know what year Los Angeles came out? Came out in '80. Yeah. So their first record came out in 1980 when the rest of the United States punk scene is just doing like hardcore, like loud, fast, hard.
I mean, and they're in Decline of the Western Civilization, which was filmed in like 1980 mostly, and like everyone else who's in it, it's like the Germs and Black Flag, and everyone is really noisy and not melodic at all. And then you see X and they're like playing rockabilly guitar leads and having
like harmony vocals,
rudimentary but still harmony,
right?
Like,
that's what I thought was fun about this one, and why I wanted to talk about it instead of like Bad Brains, which I love, but this is a little more out of my typical zone.
It's more pleasant to listen to, I think.
It is pleasant, yeah. And it's like, it's one of those records that like you can sit and listen to it and pay attention to it, or you can sit and listen to it and do a bunch of other stuff and it's just there, which I think that's cool about a record. I don't think that's a negative thing about it. If it's just one that you put on and you don't pay any attention to it ever, like that's a problem. But I like that you can settle into it and be listening to it, but still be like living in its little world while you're getting work done or whatever. It's not like taking all of your attention, but it can if you let it. Does that does that make sense?
You'll find a lot if you pay attention to it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be super distracting to you if you're trying to do something else too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's got a lot to offer, but it's not going to like, you don't have to devote your full attention to it for every listen, and you can still enjoy it even if you're not paying 100% attention to it.
Yeah.
I like that about music. I like being able to listen really intensely and hear everything sometimes, and then sometimes with the same record just like be enjoying that I'm in its world, but I also have to like be writing emails and whatever.
There's like one thing I don't like is when there is like a type of band where it's like you don't get anything from it if you don't pay attention You know, like,
yeah.
one that's like, this requires all of your attention to actually really appreciate, because otherwise you're not going to get any of it. Like, it'll like, for all the respect and love that I have for Fugazi's not a driving your car or like doing dishes band. They're more of a like, let's sit down and actually listen to what they're playing, what they're saying. Like, I don't get as much from them when I'm not fully devoted to listening to them.
Yeah,
So,
I guess they're one of those bands that I put on when I'm like I'm to specifically to listen to. I'm thinking about that now too. Like I'll put them on in the car when I'm driving alone, but I rarely do if I'm going to be chatting with people or something.
right.
Yeah. And like if I put the record on, my very first vinyl that someone gave me was a Fugazi record, and when I put that one on, it's like I put it on to listen to it. I don't put it on for background hangout music. So, yeah, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
The facts we hate will never meet. Walking down the road, everybody yelling, hurry up, hurry up. But I'm waiting for you. I must go slow, I must not think bad thoughts. When is this world coming to? Both sides are right, then both sides murder. I give up. Why can't they? I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. The Civil War.
You mentioned earlier that this was them trying to go in more like a radio-friendly direction. It definitely was them trying to do that, but they were still doing their thing.
Yeah.
Because the record they do after this it's what, Ain't Love Grand?
Yeah.
And it is them like 100% like going for mainstream attention. And it is not that great. Like,
well, that's like what usually happens, right?
It has a different like production value to it. It has like mid-80s production value. So like real big, echoey, tons of reverb on like the vocals, and it's just like very it really lacks like the warmness of the Ray Manzarek records, like his production quality. It doesn't work for them, and it didn't really work for them. Like they had some
like
minor
or whatever.
Right, they had some minor Billboard like rock charts, but like they weren't high rated songs, and it wasn't critically acclaimed, and it like Billy left the band after that record, so it was like they had to make it on that record or he was done. And they didn't. So he left, and then they made another record that's slightly better, but not quite the same without Billy.
Yeah. So wait, this one's on.
So this one's on Elektra Records, and I was looking at what else Elektra put out in 1983. So they also released Motley Crue's "Shout at the Devil," a Yellow record. I don't know if you know who Yellow is.
I don't actually.
You know in Ferris Bueller that like. Oh yeah, song? That's Yellow.
Okay.
Bow, bow. But that song's not on that record, so I don't know why they put it out. They put out a Hank Williams Jr. record, a Live Doors record, and like way later, and like an Alan Vega record. It's like, what was Elektra doing in '83?
They're just putting out the stuff they love, I guess. You know.
Elektra's like a subsidiary of Warner, right?
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, of a major. And they're a weird label. They've always had weird bands on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, well, it seems like it would have been the "Let's see what sticks" label in French. See who moves up.
Right.
Obviously, Motley Crue.
Yeah.
Surpassed X. Which that's so ironic. Because I saw someone describing this record, talking about X and this time period where where hair metal won the Sunset Strip war of the 80s.
Right.
And that totally makes sense. Motley Crue and X. We're gonna these two face off.
Motley Crue comes out.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I can name a Motley. I mean, I know that I must know Motley Crue songs, but
"Shout at the Devil."
But how does it go?
It's just him like literally
shout.
Yeah.
Shout.
Shout at the devil.
Oh, okay.
What else? What's the other big Motley Crue song? Are they Girls, 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 or is that Poison?
That's Poison.
Yeah.
I get them all mixed up.
Yeah, same. And not in the
Feel
Van
Good.
Halen Led Zeppelin way.
Right. In a. Oh my gosh! Now I gotta look up.
They did
Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
They did Girls, Girls,
Oh.
They did do. Wait, what's the Poison song that I'm thinking of?
Girls. Every rose.
Not that one.
Skinny skinny bop. What is that song called? That's a Poison song.
Wait, so Dr. Feelgood is Motley Crue?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess
They
I know
have.
which one.
Yeah. Smoking in the boys' room.
Oh yeah. How
Kickstart
can
My
I forget
Heart.
that?
Kickstart My Heart's actually a good song.
This actually reminds me of when my parents would listen to the radio, it was a million Beatles songs would come on, right? When I was a kid. And I remember when I finally, so I knew all these Beatles songs, but I didn't know. And I remember listening to Beatles finally like a little later and being like, this is them too? How do they have this many songs? And just being like so shocked that all these songs that I knew so many Beatles songs already without realizing it. This is that.
We did a Dad Rock episode a couple weeks ago, and then we were like, how do we know so many Steely Dan songs?
Yeah.
Right.
They're just
shouldn't-
around.
I shouldn't know any Steely Dan songs.
I think people like Steely Dan though, right? Now even people talk about them all the time.
Yeah, they're critically acclaimed. They're real. They get real jazzy.
They've gotten. They've acquired a new fan base of music nerd. Like, oh, actually, Steely Dan's really good. Kind of. Like,
Yeah, I see a lot of posts that say, well, actually, and then talk about Steely Dan.
There's a good Instagram that I follow. It's just like a meme account, and like they're always making Steely Dan memes.
I love a good meme.
This record's interesting. So like it's their fourth out of their classic run, and I didn't get a chance to go back and like listen to all the other records they put out before this one to see where I like it fits in my personal like level for them. Is this the weakest one? Dylan, you're probably more familiar with the other records.
I think most people say it is. I disagree. I think that Wild Gift is weaker than this record. This record has a couple of songs that just don't stand out to me, but it also has The New World, We're Having Much More Fun, True Love, Poor Girl. Those first four songs are classic X, and they're all great. I Must Not Think Bad Thoughts.
Yeah, that's the one that like
song.
I definitely already knew for sure. I like that one.
Yeah, I think it's a staple of their live show too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have a kind of a funny story about Make the Music Go Bang.
Yeah.
I was listening to it last week, and my single "A Crack in the World" had already come out in Australia, and my friend sent me a video to show me that it was on Spotify, and so I paused Make the Music Go Bang to watch the video, and the song that she had listened to right before my song was also Make the Music Go Bang, and that kind of just like blew my mind because I was like, of all the songs in all the world, we both paused this song to do this same thing. So that, I don't
wild.
know. I thought it was pretty wild. Just like kind of scary coincidence. But I like that one a lot too.
I probably listened to that song that day that your new song went up. So. But it's not quite the same when I'm doing it because we're going to be talking about the same record. But
right, yeah. But yeah, it was pretty wild. Because I hadn't even told her either that I was going to be talking about this record. She just happened to have it on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that one too. I like We're Having Much More Fun. Did you say that one already? I like that one.
Yeah.
And also Painting the Town Blue. I like that one too.
Yeah, that was when I found a video of them playing that. I want to say it was like some live video, but it was like at a professionally shot thing, so it looked really good too. There's a lot of video footage of these songs, so like I think they really were trying to do something with this record because they were on Letterman. They played Breathless and The New World, I think.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have played Breathless. That was probably their downfall.
It was like the second song they played.
There's so many better songs.
Right. I would have played Must Not Think Bad Thoughts, or I would have just done the first two, New World and We're Having Much More Fun.
Yeah, those are great.
Or even do True Love Part 2, which is the last song on the record.
I hate that one.
They made a video for it.
What?
They did, and like John Doe's wearing this weird mesh shirt.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I just I don't like it. I kept turning it off. I listened to it the first couple times, and I was like, no, I get it. I'm gonna skip this one, even though I should listen to the whole record. I don't want to hear it.
It's 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
It has a weird disco beat. Like they're trying to do like a Talking Heads thing, I think.
I guess.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
And then they just start saying all these other songs.
Yeah. I'm working on the railroad.
Yeah. That was the one that really got me.
Right. They do Skip to My Lou.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening?
And then like
what else did they do?
Black Betty.
Black Betty.
Oh,
yeah.
Black
Yeah.
Betty. Ram
Yep.
Lamb. Land of a Thousand Dances.
Yeah.
I don't like it. That's my opinion. I think it's dumb.
You should watch the video.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'll check it out after this. I'm curious.
This is the one with the guy dressed like the devil. I got the two videos mixed up.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, that makes sense because this is the
The song mentions the devil a couple
Yeah.
times, so
Right.
it,
the devil's
Yeah.
crowbar.
I just don't understand why.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what they were trying to do with that song.
Yeah. I think it drags the whole record down. Especially because it's your ending song. You gotta end on a good note, or you leave the people. Especially like I guess the whole thing is people don't listen to albums that much anymore. But I love listening to an album. I think it's important the order that it's in. And I feel like listening to this, getting through that song, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I had a good time anymore because like this is the thing that stays in my mind when I finish this record.
One of the things we've said on this show a bunch of time is the sequencing is crucial.
It's
for a record.
crucial. Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can.
I think it works in if you just stop paying attention. Like it works as the ending song if you like get up and go in the other room and you just kind of hear it in the background.
I think it doesn't work that way because, like I was saying earlier, how this is a good record when you wanted to be doing other stuff. That song always brings me back in. It distracts me from whatever I was doing, and I'm like, ugh, As opposed, like if I left, I actually did leave the room and came back in here to turn it off because I didn't want to hear it. So I feel like it for me it doesn't work that way as a just playing in the background song.
It's when they get to like that, like they just start doing numbers. It's like 1, 2, 3, baby, you're for me. Like I'm looking at the lyrics, and then they're like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good children gonna go to heaven. It's just like, what are y'all doing?
What are you doing? Yeah, it sounds like they were just farting around in band practice, having a good jam, and then just put it on the record. And that can be fun on some records, but this didn't land for me.
You don't put it on your record. I don't.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Or you
Part
put
of
it
me
on your
wonders
your B-sides record.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders if they were. Well, no, it's too early to be a Minutemen nod because they put a lot of jams on their records, but they didn't really start doing that until after.
Yeah, 86. Yeah, when they did Double Nickels and yeah, it's just weird. Like I was watching the video last night and I was like, I hope my wife doesn't look at this and like, and she's like, what is this you're listening to? Like she didn't notice it when it was on, but I was like, oh, I was embarrassed to be listening to it.
Yeah, that's how I feel, and there's no one here to be embarrassed in front of. It's just me. Like, nope.
Like, oh, I hope she doesn't like the Bebopalua or the Hunka Hunka Burning Love.
Yeah. Oh, I do like that original song though.
Yeah. Which is so funny because like John Doe like totally is the Elvis type, Yeah. He's got the pompadour and he's done plenty of country records, all country records, whatever. Yeah.
It's just weird. It's like it feels like they're trying to be like, look at all these good songs we know. And it's like, okay.
Skip to My Lou.
Yeah. And also Skip to My Lou. And I've been working on the railroad, which is a good song.
in the video, that part of the song is someone is literally working on a railroad, and they're on those like trolleys that you like push up and down to go forward while they're singing. It's like, what is happening?
Oh gosh.
I don't know how many drugs this band did. I'd never heard that they were like a heavy drug band, but they probably were doing some when they did this song. But
I think
they drank a
like
lot.
A lot of bands doing that, or even now, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a drug person personally, so I don't know. I get scandalized sometimes. So someone was talking to me. I got this random text from someone once, from a friend that I won't name, obviously, with this list of like names and numbers that I didn't understand at all. And I texted back like, "What is this?" And they were like, "Oh, it's the drugs I have for sale." And I was like, "What? Okay, I didn't understand a single word. Take me off this list." I just didn't get it at all. I literally was like, "What are these words that you sent me?"
Yeah, it's like, what is this? This is just random like phrases.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at all, and then I felt like a little dweeb for not getting it.
Yeah, I wouldn't get it either though, because I've never taken an illegal substance in my life, so. And I'm not just saying that to be like, oh yeah, I'm being recorded right now. It's like, no, I genuinely haven't. I'm a weenie. I don't mess with stuff like that.
Yeah, I always feel like my brain is already like weird enough, and I don't want to risk making it weirder. That's how I've always felt about it.
I was straight edge till I was 22, so I was like, I'm not really gonna.
Does that count though?
I don't know.
That's only like one real year of being straight edge, I feel like.
I guess, but I was kind of a dick about it, so like.
Right. Okay. So you were you were like, I'm straight edge.
Yeah, people were always arguing with me about it in college, and I was like, I should not be straight edge because it makes me an asshole. So. Yeah.
Because I was technically straight edge for a long time too, but I didn't ever think about that I was straight edge. I just didn't drink or do drugs.
Yeah,
but
that
I
was
was
what
one of
mine
those people
was.
like, I'm straight edge. Like I didn't. Yeah. When people asked, I'd be like, oh, I guess so. I don't know. I didn't ever like go to parties or anything either in high school, really.
Yeah. I was homeschooled, so we both were. So
that makes sense.
That's why we have a podcast.
I have a podcast too, but it's real small.
Is it on your Patreon?
It's on my Patreon.
Yeah.
It's called Stoked.
I've seen your posts about it. I hadn't heard one yet. So.
Well, you can't if you don't subscribe to the Patreon. So.
I know. So.
Well, actually, I'm releasing an episode to everyone that's with Josh and Sarah, who we talked about earlier.
Nice. Yeah, I think Josh is doing a version of a podcast on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, I did one. I did the first one.
Okay. So they're like Instagram lives, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out that side of Instagram.
It turns out it's really easy.
Like the Instagram TV type stuff.
I'm confused about the TV thing because it used to be like you could save it to your story, but now it's an Instagram TV thing. Yeah. But if you go live and then you just send a request to the person who's live, they can let you into their live and then you're just live together. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't watched any of those yet.
Well, you missed me and you missed Devin from Monica and you missed Kylie from Pedal.
Yeah, I know. Is it?
And all of us are great.
And they're all gone, right? Because that's how Instagram works.
No, I don't know. I think because of the Instagram TV thing, they're around because I've seen him, like, I've gotten tagged and, like, check out the first episode. So I think that they're there still somehow on, like, the Late Bloomer account.
Yeah, we have to, there we go, TV. Series, there they are. Oh, cool. I'll include a link to this.
Yeah! Heck yeah,
now I can watch them. Cool. There we go. There you go, Josh. I guess we ran out of things to talk about the record.
I derailed it again. I'm sorry.
No, we're good. what's everyone's just overall like last thoughts on the record? Dylan, you start. What?
I just really like the way they sound together on this record, especially Exene and John's voices. Obviously, they've been singing together for quite a while at this point. They were married. Were they still married at this point?
I don't know. When did she marry Viggo Mortensen?
Oh, yeah.
It was not long after this, probably in like 85 or 86. So
Yeah, that sounds...
John is in a movie with Viggo Mortensen? I just thought it was funny. But John was also a recurring character on the TV show Roswell.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Like 6 episodes.
But
They're everywhere.
I think they sound really, really good together, which I think carries this record a lot for me. Maybe why I regard it a little more than the average X fan. But even still, I don't know. I think there are some really great deep cuts here. Devil Doll, Hot House, not necessarily the big tracks from this record, but they're all really good. It is sad to think that this was the last record of their great period, though. That they really could have kept going if they hadn't sold out. Because, like I said, I like this one more than their second album. I'd rank this like third out of their first 4 records. I mean, and that being said, they still came back around. I think See How We Are is a really good record. And there's a reason that they've stuck around and are still touring. They just toured with Violent Femmes.
No,
But last year, maybe 2 years ago.
that's wild.
It's full circle.
Yeah.
They just put out a record this year called Alphabet Land.
They
That's
did?
actually, yeah, it's really good, actually. It sounds like
Oh.
Classic X.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, on Fat Possum Records, which is an interesting label. That's Soccer Mommy's record label. Or
That's
her
what this, on the Spotify, apparently, this record is under exclusive license to Fat Possum.
Yeah, they reissued like all the classic records.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was weird when I saw like all those reissues. So
Yeah.
clearly they had already made their deal to do the new record. So they were just like, all right,
Right.
let's go ahead and get some of the classics out there.
Yeah.
Elise, do you have any final thoughts on this record?
Yeah, I agree that they all sound good. It sounds like a very coherent band. They sound like, you know, when you can tell like that people play together and they just gel well. I think they sound really good overall as a band. And there's some really great songs on here that I like a lot, that I mentioned earlier. And then there's some songs that I think are fine. And then there's a couple that I just don't like at all. So I think overall it's like a solid, enjoyable record that's worth hearing for sure.
And yeah, I said the same thing. Yeah, I need to listen to Wild Gift again to know for a fact that I think that's the weakest record. But I would probably put this third of the first 4. And Dylan, I want to echo what you said about them sounding good together, especially on a Must Not Think Bad Thoughts, because they do. Yeah. They go between harmonizing. They'll harmonize. John will do a line. They'll harmonize again. Exene will do a line. They'll harmonize again. They'll not sing anything for a bar. Like they're so like they have that song nailed perfectly to how they want to perform it, and
yeah,
they come like in and out of the lead of the song, so they sound great together. And yeah, you could tell they all get along really well because there's a reason why, except for like that very brief period where Billy left the band, it's mainly been the same musicians. So
yeah,
we didn't really say anything about the drummer, but he's right there in it. Like he punctuates the songs in just the right places. It gives it kind of that country swing vibe and sometimes and rockabilly elements to it. And John and Exene are great vocally, and Billy's an excellent guitarist. So it's just like perfect combination of musicians there. So
yeah, I think it's cool. I think a lot of times you can have some really good musicians, but they don't play together as well because they're not playing to the song, because they're not all on the same page about what the song should be like, you know? And I think this record and everyone on it does a good job of playing the song. If instead of like, I could put this drum fill here because I'm good at drums or whatever, you know, it feels like everything that happens is in service to the song specifically. And I think that's also another mark of like a really solid, good band. Yeah, just kind of building on what you just said, but
yeah. Well, I guess that'll do it.
Cool.
Elise, why don't you plug all the social medias and everything you want us to follow? Like,
right. I'm on Instagram at Oceanator Band, and on Twitter at just at Oceanator, and Facebook, but I don't go on there much. It's pretty much going to be exactly the same as the Instagram, but that's also at Oceanator. The Bandcamp I talked about earlier, oceanator.bandcamp.com. Oh, if you want to follow my label, Plastic Miracles, it's at Plastic Miracles on both Twitter and Instagram. And then eventually, when there's enough people on there, I'll stop talking about it on my other socials, so you won't be getting double. Yeah, I guess that's it, right? Get my record. It's good. I like it.
Definitely.
I'm very happy with it. I paid a lot of attention to the sequencing.
Sequencing's crucial.
It's very crucial, so yeah.
Really looking forward to the sing-song jam session at the end of the record, though.
Where you sing nursery rhymes and classic rock. Too.
Yeah. Yep. I just sing every song I've ever heard, like one line of it.
Yeah, go get the record. I can't wait to hear the whole thing. Do you know when the next single is going to drop? Is there an idea?
Yes, there is an idea.
Soon-ish.
Soonish. When's this coming out?
So, not this coming week, not this coming Tuesday, but the Tuesday after.
So like the 15th or something of July?
I think so. And it'll be like evening of that Tuesday. It'll be the 14th.
It's going to come out like right around then. It's coming out that week.
So go look for it now.
Yeah. So either you'll be hearing it right now or tomorrow or the day after, probably. Something like that.
Cool. So within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep. Just decided that yesterday, so
yeah.
Exciting.
Can't wait to hear it. You can follow us on all the social medias. We have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a Facebook, but the Facebook really posts the same thing as the Instagram. Yeah, we're on all those at Punk Lotto Pod. We have a voicemail line. It's 202-688-PUNK. Google told me that I needed to send a text message or they were going to delete my account. So maybe somebody should call that number and leave us something.
You said 202?
202-688-PUNK.
That's DC.
Yeah, I specifically wanted punk to be the last 4 digits, and so I was looking at like which numbers it would let me use that from, and so I looked up a couple area codes, and it said DC, and I was like, well, Discord's from DC. That's punk. That's a punk zip code. We'll use that one.
I grew up in DC.
Yeah, I watched your Audio Tree session the other day.
Did I talk about that?
Yeah, you talked a little bit about DC and like growing up there, and your first bands were there, and I thought that was interesting because I mainly only knew that your Brooklyn tag from all your social media stuff now, but
yeah, I've been here for like 10 years, 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up in DC. That's where I went to all my first punk shows. Played in a punk band. It was great. Saw Fugazi.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I've never seen Fugazi. Damn
They played at Fort Reno, which is an old fort, but they do concerts there outside on the stage every Monday and Thursday. I think it's still going. It's right across from Wilson, which is where half Fugazi went, and up the street from Georgetown Day, which is where the other half went, and where I went. So it was rad. Saw Ian Mackay there all the time. Saw
was
Henry
it close to the end of their run because we're roughly the same age?
I think it was like a weird kind of comeback thing. You know, it was like a one-off, and it was packed. It was really wild. It was like 2000 something, like 4 maybe.
It probably would have been one of the last ones.
Yeah, I think it may have even been their very last show. It was awesome though. Saw the Evens there too, which was pretty cool.
I love the Evens.
Yeah, it was cool, and it was a different day. That's where I first saw Ted Leo too, which was awesome.
Oh yeah,
I love Ted Leo. I'm doing it again. I'm just so happy to talk to people.
Well, we can end the episode here, I guess, and then we can keep talking after if we want. But I guess that'll do it for this week. Thanks, everybody. Leave us a rating or review. Yeah. And cool.
Cool. Thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the show.
Hell yeah.